Hello, this is Greg Allison of Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the 17th of July 2020. And what I've got to say, of course, is aplenty. Are we on the brink? What's going on in the world today? It's going crazy. Think about this. Right now, there have been weeks of mysterious explosions going on in the nation of Iran. There have been major facilities exploded. At the same time, Israel has a strange lockdown they're in. Some people say it's just for the bug that's going around. Others are saying, no, they're getting ready for an attack. So what's the case? And amongst all of that, as you may know, China had been conducting mock drills in the South China Sea of invasions of islands like Taiwan. And just over the past 5 days, or since Wednesday, actually, Taiwan has been holding mock live fire drills, or actually live fire drills, of a mock invasion to be able to stop it. So, and as you might know, it just so happens that the United States has 2 complete aircraft carrier crews in the South China Sea. 2 complete groups for all the support groups, all the support ships or frigates, everything. Carrier groups there working together in the South China Sea. And on top of that, we have declared the activities of China in the South China Sea to be illegal. So it's getting interesting fast. So what's happening? What's going on? We're going to drill into it. Before we do, just a little brief thing for the channel. You know, this is part of the Eyes Wide Open, Head on a Swivel news series that I do for you to keep you aware of what's coming up. Well, you need to be prepared. Don't be scared, be prepared. And don't panic. But now is a particularly important time to pay very close attention. Because what I've got to tell you is, first you should subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel and bang the update notification bell. Click all. That's not really a bell anymore. Click all. That's where your bell is sometimes. But that way you'll get notifications, hopefully, of all my videos. Do go back and double check. Check my channel and make sure you've seen things, because sometimes the algorithms are a little lax in supporting things like that, especially when you talk about subjects like this. Oh my. And also, you can support me and my channel by, hey, right now, if you're not prepping, you need to wake up. And right now, maybe your last best chance to prep. You really need to go to My Patriot Supply. Go to my link below, prepwithgreg.com. There you get a special deal, $100 off for 4 weeks supply of food that lasts up to 25 years. Good stuff, good food. It's got a variety of things. And you can go into My Patriot Supply on that link and get all kind of prepping supplies and long-term food storage. That does help my channel. Also, go to True Leaf Market, because you need to be growing a garden. You need seeds. It's still not too late to plant, and you need seeds to be ready for next year. You may not be able to get them next year. I would get them now while you can. I do have videos below on gardening, including growing things in your home if you live in the city. If you live in the city, you might want to start thinking tough about that, because I've also done a lot of videos on electromagnetic pulse and what that can mean for us. The probability of that, which I think may be high, especially right now. So some people are projecting that we're going to get into it this weekend, that Israel will actually attack Iran. That is what some people are projecting. Some people are even projecting that China and Russia will come in on the route of defense, that we'll get drawn into that. Is that why we're in the South China Sea? Are we there just to get ready, or are we there because of the other stuff going on there? Wow. You know what it looks like? It looks like the chess pieces are set. The chess pieces are set for WW3. Are we on the brink? Holy smoke. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it a little bit. In Iran, we've had a whole series of mysterious explosions. These explosions have been occurring for weeks now. They started on the 26th of June at the Gorges missile production facility, which produces the missiles that Iran uses. And they're typically solid rocket missiles, a lot of them are, but a lot of fuel was there, and it was a tremendous explosion. It rocked the country. Massive explosion that occurred there. And just 4 days later, a medical facility north of Tehran exploded. After that, some other big facility south of Tehran exploded. So There's just been a whole lot of these. On the 2nd of July, the Natanz, I don't know if I'm getting that right, Natanz nuclear facility where they have their centrifuges was destroyed. And it said that will set Iran back maybe months, possibly years, in their enrichment program. As you may know, and I've covered in many videos stretched back over the past several months, that Iran is looking, well, that Israel actually has said that, you know, Netanyahu claimed, hey, you cross this line, we're going to hit you. And, you know, there are sources that claim that that line's already been crossed. You know, for what that is or isn't worth. We do know that Iran is busily enriching fuel. They've gone beyond the treaty provisions for the treaty that was had previously. A lot of people said that they were cheating on that anyway. Look, I'm not here to pick on any country or to support any country. I'm going to tell you this. There's good and bad people in every country. There's good people with good hearts in every country. In fact, in Iran, 80% of the people there, the youth, would like a Western-style government. And if we could bide our time, maybe they would get that. In fact, they may be on the close verge of toppling their dictators, the ayatollahs, and the regime that runs that country as it is. So I was going to do a video called Toppling Tyrants. I will come back to that topic. I will do that sometime during the week, I hope. Because there's a whole lot of things happening there, Russia and China, that might give us some hope. But it may be that war will occur before then. It's hard to say. Apparently it's said that Israel may be behind all these explosions in Iran. Oh, there's also been ships exploded. There's been numerous facilities that exploded, fires. They may be using the dissidents there in the country, but they're probably, most likely, supported by the Mossad or some other Iranian intelligence or operative arm. So, you know, and likely with the support of the United States. I'm not judging the character of what that is. What I'm just saying is what is happening. And I tell you this because I tell you that the world is in risk today, and that risk could affect us here with attacks, EMP, and draw us into all kind of stuff. Like I said, it could draw China and Russia in to support Iran. So, in a way, it looks like these attacks have been occurring when Iran is kind of down with the bug that's hitting them, if you know what I mean. And because of that, they are a little bit more vulnerable. To their population, they now, the Ayatollahs look impotent. They actually look impotent. They look corrupt. The corruption has already been pretty apparent. That happens in any government. I tell you, any government, especially any one-party system, that's why I'm against one-party governments, and that's why I'm against tyrannies of any type. And all your isms evolve in that direction in time, communism, socialism, you know. But what you have to bear in mind is we need democracy, a representative system for people. But I always tell you, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what Lord Acton told us. You combine that with birds of a feather flock together, and who has the goal makes the rule. You're going to wind up with corruption and tyranny in any system that doesn't have a very robust set of checks and balances, freedoms for the people. And we were so quick now talking about giving up our freedoms. That's nuts. We need those freedoms, because without them, you're going to wind up in tyranny. People think that we'll have social justice. They'll think that things are going to be better for one group or another. It will not play out that way. It will not play out that way. It may start that way or look out like it for some people, but that's not where it's going. It never works that way. So for those of you that think that's the great and wonderful thing, think again. You need to consider it. All right, so what's happening is it makes it kind of look like we're telling Iran that you can't control your country. That's maybe the message that they're getting. And it may make them more inclined to wag their dog. I've talked about China wagging their dog. And maybe we'll wag our dog, considering the economic stuff going on in this country. In fact, there's all kind of tensions that may lead toward conflict, to blame things to the guys over there. And there's already a history of a background war between the Israelis and Iran. It's been going on for decades now. As you may recall, in recent times, the oil tankers and oil fields, Saudi oil fields, were attacked by Iran. Iran shot down a U.S. drone. Americans retaliated by killing General Soleimani. And there were, U.S. troops, some of them were killed by proxies for Iran. And it's just been going on and on and on. So that's a situation that could boil. Now, what's going to happen? It could wind up with just the regime falling. That would be the best outcome. Or it could lead to war. They made like cyber attacks. But Iran has some other trouble. And because the Iranian regime is in somewhat of a trouble, they're cutting deals right now with China. Special deals with the People's Republic of China, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and their military, the People's Liberation Army. They are cutting deals with them right now that the population don't like. They feel like they're getting sold out. But the regime in Iran sees that as their only way to survive. And that may be another thing that pulls Iran into it. It may be leading to the prophecy of 200,000 troops crossing the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. That's in the book of Revelations. Are we heading there? I'm thinking about doing a video on the four horsemen riding. Four horsemen of the apocalypse, because, I mean, hey, look what's going on in the world today. And look at all the locusts, floods, drought, wars and rumors of wars. All right, so let's talk about China. What's going on with China? What's happening there? Well, there's some backdrop. You realize that China actually rammed 2 Vietnamese ships in the South China Sea in areas that those ships should have had freedom of navigation. So Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, called the Chinese tactics in the South China Sea, their 9-dash line, illegal. And Pompeo called out the CCP, and he said they offer no coherent basis for the 9-dash line. And it just so happens that on the 12th of July of 2016, the World Court at The Hague had constituted an arbitral tribune, where you arbitrate things, that was constructed under, or constituted under, the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention. Law of the Sea. Some of us used to call that lost. I actually opposed that law because of other reasons. I can go into that later. Might be a better subject for a Galactic Grex channel. I was actually quite active in that, by the way. But it does limit, what countries can do in the sea, how far they can go out, what they can do, what they can accomplish, how they can go about it. And what's been done by China in the South China Sea is way out of bounds of it. So much so that on the 12th of July of 2016, the World Court, The Hague, through that tribunal gathering, ruled what they were doing to be illegal. That they were out of bounds, that they shouldn't do it. What did China do? They ignored it. And furthermore, when they started building these reefs up into islands, Xi Jinping, he promised President Barack Obama, he said, we're not going to militarize these islands. He promised Barack Obama that in 2015. Well, look at them today. They're heavily militarized. So they're basically unsinkable aircraft carriers way out in the ocean. And they are in the midst of territories that are owned by or claimed also by the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. All these countries have claims on them. And that's why, on top of that, there's, enormous resources of oil and natural gas in that region. A third of the world's trade goes through there. This is a huge economic artery of the world. And China was planning to go in there and basically establish air cover over it, and so you had to get permission for them to fly through the area, or put your boats through the area. And the U.S. says, no, it's a seizure. And of course, China responded to that and said that we were just being a bunch of bad boys. That's kind of what they said about all this. They said that we were being bad. And in any event, see, but we've also taken another stand. So that's a huge stand. We've declared what they've done to be illegal. That leaves the way for us to make certain claims and sanctions and take certain actions, supposedly, in the theoretical world law system. It opens the door for us to penalize Chinese firms for their activities and obtaining that oil, gas, and the fish in that area. It's also a very rich fishery, very rich. And on top of that, one more thing the United States done, the president issued an executive order on Hong Kong normalization. And it was about the national security legislation on Hong Kong. that was passed by China against the will of the Hong Kongese, what they were protesting about, basically declaring everything they're doing to be illegal. And here's what it does. It says, it basically says that anybody from China, anyone who was directly or indirectly involved in the coercion, arresting, detaining, or imprisoning Hong Kongers over this legislation, people that are involved in the actions or policies of it that undermine the democratic processes of Hong Kong, that threaten peace, that bring in censorship, extrajudicial, where they take people out of China and take Hong Kong and take them into China. I'm forgetting the word for that, but anyway, or if they've been an official or leader, or if they were involved in passing that legislation, that the United States will basically seize their assets in the United States, and it will sanction them and tell people that we can't trade with them, you can't do business with them. But it gets more interesting to also say anyone who provided, now also this is applying to Americans, anyone who provided technological support to the ones that passed that law. Does that include our social media companies? How far does that go? Good questions. I don't know how far that does go, or how far it will be implemented and enforced. I have no idea. Are they just going to keep them from trading for the people over there? Are they actually going to seize assets over here? I don't know what's next, but you know that China has got to be furious over that one. But then again, Hong Kongers are furious that their country was taken from them. You know, they were supposed to be able to retain 2 systems and all their freedoms in the year 2047. And probably then they would not have been happy with the transition over either. But, you know, suddenly just pushing it on them all at once, this is not the treaty that was made. The treaty that was made between China and the United Kingdom was for there to be 2 systems. But 1 China, 2 systems, and Hong Kong would have their freedoms until 2047. Now, what we have to do that, why it's important to us, well, we have allies in that area. Some of our allies are Japan. And Japan also figures into this whole business. And we're developing alliances more so with India. We're still having an alliance with Pakistan. You know, Pakistan and India are on opposite sides most of this. And of course, China is making more stronger alliances with Pakistan, and Pakistan may be paying a little bit of a price of it. They might actually reconsider some of that. Maybe, I don't know. Wouldn't it be great if Pakistan and India could reconcile somehow, but as long as they're having the conflicts over, Kashmir, Jammu, it's hard to see that happen. And of course, China's involved in that with the actual line of control and the conflicts they've had there. So I tell you these things to tell you that you really do need to prepare. This stuff could go hot. I mean, we've got our aircraft carriers inside the South China Sea, claimed by China as their exclusive economic zone, their area, their water, that you would have to ask permission to come into. We're just right in force. China's putting some fighter jets on some of those islands, not enough to really counter what our aircraft carriers have as of yet. But this might be the time that China would normally want to hit us, but are they going to hit us over Iran if we're enforcing the South China Sea? Or maybe they'll just decide to pull our switch over here, EMP. It's Iranian doctrine to do that to us in a time like this. Are we going to lose our grid? Will that happen this weekend, next year, year after? I don't know. There are people out there who's saying it's all going to start this weekend. I'm not going to tell you that. I think that's a little bit forward. But I'm going to tell you it could. It could. I'm inclined to think not yet. But as I said, Israel wants to make a move before, while they know they still have the support of an American president. They don't know what's coming next. So, and then there's elections coming up. There's lots of wag the dog and October surprise and gosh knows what, and how these things could go. And we have political strife and turmoil right here in the United States. And many other countries have it internally. It's a sad thing. I hope we can find ways to come together again. But right now, we are in a pickle. And there are a lot of preppers that are moving to bug out right now. They're already in bug out mode. Be important to watch and see what the world leaders do. Keep a close eye on where they're at, or what you know or don't know. Xi Jinping's been hiding. Look at the floods in China. It's tearing them up. So they have a lot of pressure there to consider wagging the dog. They may not do it with us there in the South China Sea. They may or may not. I don't know. That may be more pressure on them. You know, there's also a lot of opportunities for miscalculation, misunderstanding, and those can lead to conflict and war. But I think moreover, probably the United States is playing its hand while we still got a hand to play. And that these other guys might actually back down. So I'm not going to say it's going to be a WW3, but it could be. The chess pieces are lined up on the board. They're there. It could happen. My inclination would be not yet, but I can't guarantee you that. I can't guarantee you that it won't happen 2 minutes from now. I can't guarantee that at all. 2 minutes, 2 millennium. I don't think it'll be 2 millennium. But yeah, we got a lot of work to do. So that's why I tell you all the time, it's important for you to prepare. Don't panic. Don't ever panic, because you can't think when you're panicked. Be smart. Keep your head on your shoulder. And keep your eyes wide open. And your head on your shoulder, right? Head on a swivel. So that's what's important to do. Be prepared, not scared. Go to prepwithgreg.com for prepping supplies. Get your long-term food storage. Go to Tree Market. Buy seeds at the store. Buy seeds for your neighbors. Because if they're growing stuff, they're less likely to come pick on you. Buy seeds. Go out and buy tools right now. Now's a good time to go out and buy tools. Shovels, axes, picks, rakes, hoes, chopping hoes. You know, garden tools. You need those. Manual tools. You can get power tools or gas-generated tools, but just bear in mind, you may not have no fuel. Greg goes on, you're not going to be pumping. You better figure out a way to make it. And parts will break down. You know, these things need maintenance at some point in time. You're not going to be able to run them. Hand saws, crosscut saws, hand tools, muscle tools, tools that use your guns to run. That's what you're going to need. You're going to need ways to sanitize and purify your water. I've done a video on that. That's one of the most important skills to know. You're going to need to learn how to eat from the weeds and the trees. There's lots of food up in here. I've done videos on that too, with more to come. If the good Lord's willing and time allows. That's the real question, right? What will we? How much longer do we have? I don't know. I don't know. It could all go down. It could go down fast. I mean, what are we looking at? We're looking at it could go down due to these tensions worldwide, tensions for war. It could go down to internal political strife. That might be more likely to be an October surprise. Or upset over November. November didn't go the way we wanted. So October and November have plenty of potential to go south on us. Isn't it terrible we always use going south as a term for bad stuff? Been a southerner. I don't really appreciate that too much, but anyway, you know what I mean. So things can change fast. I had to walk away there. Mosquitoes were getting me. So just bear that in mind. A lot of people are not going to take a you know what? They're not going to take it. Count yours truly. But you know, a lot of people just aren't going there, and that may cause strife. That may cause all kind of strife if they try to enforce something like that. The shutdowns may cause strife. There are a lot of things in play right now. There's a lot of things that people are agitated over. People are not happy. Right now, the approval and trust in the government is only 10%. Only 10% in this country. That's not good for the government. It says that, you know, they've not been shooting straight and fair. They've supported the corporations too much, the corporatocracy, and people are tired of it. People are sick of it. Some people see the solution to be to drain the swamp, yours truly included. Others think you build a bigger swamp. Oh, take all the freedoms, all the liberty. Well, I've explained in some of my videos why you don't want to go there. So, in the event, keep your head on your shoulder. Keep your eyes open and head on the swivel. Don't panic. Be prepared, not scared. And I want to say, I see some squirrels jumping around. You probably ain't going to be able to see them. It's hiding. a bird now. Anyway, I'm always seeing stuff out here in these woods. Anyway, to everyone, thank you for watching. And have a blessed day. And always remember, Mother Nature is always here for you to give solace. Goodbye.